Hello everybody, welcome to our presentation today. We're going to be talking about doing AI form building in SharePoint, using AI to help us quickly create forms. It's a very interesting topic. It's taking advantage of new features and functionality, and it's something I think is really cool. So I can't wait to share this with you. My name is Will Cooper. I am a SharePoint solutions developer, and I do many things related to SharePoint and Microsoft 365. Additional to that work, I run a YouTube channel, which is called SharePoint Smart. So if you're not already checking out those videos, I hope you'll take a look and subscribe. There's lots of interesting things you can learn how to do in SharePoint by watching those videos. I also have my own SharePoint toolkit, which is called SharePoint Dashboards. And I am going to show some information after our main presentation if you want to stick around to learn about SharePoint dashboards. Our philosophy at Infowise is about making things simple and easy and also improving. We like to keep adding improvements and features to our tools for our users. Our toolkit is 100% inside of the SharePoint user interface, and it involves using no code. So you don't have to be a SharePoint developer or programmer to use these tools. It's intuitive, and anybody can pick this up and use these tools. I am recording our presentation. This will be posted on YouTube later today, so don't feel that you have to scramble to take notes. So you get a link to that. Also, we'll provide a free template that you can download with our software, which will be what I showed today. So this will be accessible, what I show in the presentation from our software later today. Ultimate Forms is available both for SharePoint Online, which is Microsoft 365, and also for on-premise SharePoint, for those of you guys who have, are in a business where you have your own SharePoint server. This is kind of how I picture SharePoint. Out of the box, it's a bit bare bones and it's confusing. It's not clear where to start, what to do, so not easy when you don't have any additional tools to work with. Ultimate Forms really solves that by adding all kinds of capabilities and features so that you can do complete solutions. So it makes things easy and straightforward when it comes time to build out those forms and solutions that you want to have inside of your SharePoint environment. Out of the box SharePoint, creating forms begins with this, adding fields, and this is the old list settings screen in SharePoint that's been around for about 2 decades with very few changes. And although it works, and for those of us who've been in SharePoint for a long time, we're used to using it, it's not a fast or efficient process. It's pretty time consuming, not too user friendly at all, especially in comparison to what we're going to take a look at. With Ultimate Forms, we have our Generate with AI feature, which allows for very quick and efficient creation of fields for your SharePoint list, which is what you need for your form. And with our AI helper, it's going to actually auto-generate and auto-suggest fields for you, which is really exciting, and that's what we're going to focus on mostly today. The net result is you're able to set up forms really fast. All right, here's our AI helper friend, and we're going to take a look and describe what I see as key concepts for AI form building in SharePoint. We need to be able to create fields really fast, and it needs to be easy. It can't be complicated. We want our AI helper to suggest fields and configuration for us. We don't want to have to do all that manual configuration ourselves. That being said, it's there to help us, not to do everything. So we need to make adjustments to what's suggested, and that needs to be easy as well. One thing that's not available with out-of-the-box SharePoint lists is the idea of repeating sections, and that's something that our software does very well. And this comes up all the time. I'll show you some scenarios today where we're going to need those repeating sections in our form. Naturally, if we have a repeating section, we're going to want to have summary totals below that. I'll demonstrate that concept as well. We want it to be smart enough to suggest which fields are going to be required. And it's not enough just to suggest fields and types of fields. We want it to actually do granular configuration as well, which means if it's a choice field, we want it to suggest the choices in the field. We want all that to happen automatically. All this needs to happen in a very fluid and intuitive manner where it's very easy for us to work with it, make adjustments, and proceed down the path. We also want to have additional features beyond this with AI. So we want our users to experience the benefit as well. We're going to show an example of that with a multi-line text field where we provide an AI helper rewrite function with the text field. We'll see how that works. Overall, we want to reduce steps and accelerate our process. That's our goal here. If this doesn't make things faster and easier for us, then we're not likely to want to take advantage of it. All right, so here we go. Let's see how this AI form building works. Here I am in SharePoint Online, and I'm just going to go right into this. I do want to comment, I didn't say earlier, but we do want your feedback and interaction. Although you can't speak during our presentation, what you should do is use the QA section to post your questions and comments. I'm not looking at it as I present, but I promise you I will take a look at that later in the presentation and try to address those questions for you. All right, so we're going to be going through some examples where I'm going to use this tool and create some new SharePoint lists and forms. So we're going to do the whole thing from start to finish. So the first thing I need to do is get into the Infowise Ultimate Form settings screen. It appears in the command bar as a design button. And our software is something you can try in its entirety for free for up to 30 days by just going to our site and downloading the trial. So everything I'm showing you, you can try. If you're not already an Ultimate Forms customer, you can run the installer package really quickly. It's a really easy to understand wizard, and you can do all of the things that I'm doing in this presentation right after we get done. Okay, so here's our new feature, Generate with AI. And I'm just going to drop in here and pretty simple beginning spot. It just asks me what I want to use for my prompt. For those of you guys who have been working with AI and learning how to take advantage of it to help you in your jobs, you know that it's all about the prompt. So we're going to start with a help desk system, and I'm just going to drop in some text here. You can see I didn't do anything very fancy or specific. I just, in a conversational way, describe what kind of system I want. And then down below here, it asks me to suggest a number of fields that it should create. Okay, it's going to give me a little progress bar. It's going to work on that, and then it's going to come back, and after a little bit, it's going to suggest a series of fields for me. It does take a little bit of time, maybe 20 or 30 seconds. There's a lot of work that's going to get done, so we just got to patiently wait, and here we go. There are the fields. Now, one thing that's interesting is it's going to come up with some different suggestions each time you do this. And those of you guys who have worked with AI are used to this. But you can already see we're on a very distinctly different path than the old list setting screen where I'm having to manually create fields. Within a matter of seconds, it's already generated a comprehensive list of fields that it suggests is part of a help ticket system. All right, so now I'm going to go through a series of steps to refine those suggestions and get it more precisely what I want to do. First thing I want to do is look at the list name. So I'm going to name this with demo on the end, but of course you should change the list to whatever you think is more appropriate. Obviously the list name is going to be really important. And then I'm going to scan through the fields. I'm going to look for things that SharePoint kind of already has, or I'm not going to need because that would be redundant. So ticket ID, SharePoint's already got an ID in there, so I just click the trash can. I don't need that. Update date, well, that's redundant too. We have a modified field in SharePoint, so not very hard to scan through these. I just hit my trash cans, and I can just kind of get rid of the things that I know that I already have. Start date, it doesn't make sense. I've got the created field in SharePoint. So you're always going to browse through these and, request date. There you go. That's the created date as well. So you just browse through these kind of get rid of the things where it's slightly off. SharePoint also has an attachments field, so I don't need it to try to create that again. All right, so I kind of start by just weeding out some things that I know that I don't need in my particular case, and then I can kind of go on to my next step. All right, so the next thing I want to do is take a look at these choice fields. So what's one thing I think is really cool here is if I go into the configuration of the choice fields, notice it didn't just suggest the field types, it actually came up with a reasonable suggestion for the choice fields as well. So it's okay, well, it's suggesting open, in progress, closed. Well, maybe I want to change that. It's easy to do. I just can type what I want, hit save, and I can just quickly make these adjustments to figure out what I want. So it suggests some categories. Naturally, I'm going to have my own specific categories in my organization, so I'm going to either add to this or modify those. But it comes up with some reasonable suggestions for me, so that's helping me along the way. Priority, low, medium, high. I kind of like that. I'm going to do MED for medium. So it's pretty smart. It's actually coming up with things that make a lot of sense and generally want to, kind of go with that. So what else have we got? We've got a location field. I think that's going to be good. I want to make sure there's a detailed description. We've got that. That was part of my prompt, and it understood that well. Like it's going to give me a multi-line text field for that. So it's done a really nice job of generating these fields for me very quickly. And I'm not having to click in and out of some screen to create fields. It's just very fast and fluid. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I want to do this concept of a repeating table. So in my help ticket system, I want to have individual tasks because maybe it's a difficult request and there's parts within it. So I want to have this sub list, this repeating table of tasks. So I'm going to start adding some of those. So I'm going to say task, that's a single line of text, and I just toggle that to make it required. And then I want a couple more fields. So I'll say task assign to, and that's going to be a people field. And I also want that required. And then I'll just do one more. We'll say task status, and that is a choice field. Also want that required. All right, so what do I have to do to make that repeating section? It's really elegant the way this is set up. I can just check these boxes on the side, and there's an option at the top that says create repeating section. So I just click on that, and it says, oh, okay, what is the name of this repeating section? And I'll say that's going to just be called tasks. And notice it indented, and now we're going to have this repeating table in my form. So incredibly easy to add what is normally a very complex type of functionality in SharePoint. Very quick. Now another thing I'm going to want to do is have a summary field below that. So I want to have a field that says open tasks, and it's just going to give us the number of these tasks that are not yet complete. So we have a special field called summary, and I just go to the gear and I just give it some information. It's pretty smart. Already it knows, oh, this has to do with the repeating section. It knows I created one called tasks, and I just want to get the count, and I need to give it a filter. So I need to say where task status not equals complete. So just type that in, hit save, save again, and that's pretty much it. I'm good to go. I'm going to go ahead and click create. Now again, it's got to do some work. It's working on, it's now actually creating the SharePoint list. So that's part of the reason it's so quick is we're really just working on the definition of it, and that was really fast. Okay, so now we're going to go right to the form. I'm going to click on design, and boom, already we're in a form designer. Now this is Ultimate Forms Form Designer, which is my favorite part of the product, just because it's really fast and easy to work with. So I want you to watch how quickly I can start pulling things together in this form. One thing I always love at the bottom of the form is a button bar with a standard button, so I just drag and drop that onto the form. I want to style my form a little bit, so I'm just going to click on this outer container, and I like the rounded shadow theme, and I want to give it a little bit of a background. So I'm going to go for light blue, and I'll just move my slider over like that, and give it a border. Notice I'm just doing clicks here. I'm not having to do any code or anything like that. Give a little padding, and very quickly you can see the look and feel of my form is changing right in front of me. All right, so Next, we're going to go ahead and do, let's add a fragment at the top. I always like a header at the top of my forms, and we'll just say help desk request like that. And I want that to be maybe kind of some larger text and center it. And then, whoops, align center. And I want to style that a little bit. So it's just like the container. I can give it a background color. I like it dark blue, and that means I want the text to be white, and save. Okay, so already we're getting a form that's starting to look nice. Inside of my main container, I want to have individual containers for the form section. So I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to go with that black border again and padding. Now, one thing that's cool is I don't have to keep doing those styles over and over again. I know I'm going to have a lot of these little container boxes, so there's a little copy icon in there, so I can just hit that a whole bunch and make copies of that real quick. And then I can do this multi-column layout. So I don't want to have this field stretching all the way across the page. That looks kind of silly. So I can just drag them where I want in the form, and then for the container, I can set it to 4 columns, and you can see it just adjusts right away. So now I just kind of walk my way down the form. For multi-line text field, whoops, this one's supposed to be 1 column. I want that to fill up the page, so that's why I did these different containers like that. And I can just kind of keep going and just drag and drop over and over again. Priority obviously doesn't need to stretch all the way across the page. And I could reorder those too. So in terms of my layout, it's really easy and fast to work with. I can just reshuffle those at any point. So initially when I'm doing my high level, I can just kind of do that quickly. This location field is cool. It shows the map real time in the form. So I want to give plenty of real estate for that one. I'll let that be in its own container. And I'm just going to keep walking through these different fields. So if I kind of hover towards the top of the page, it'll scroll up for me. So I'll move all those small fields up at the top. End it. Up you go. All right, there it goes right there. Estimated time. Now maybe as I'm going along, I decide I don't want one of these fields after all. That's not a big deal. I can obviously trash can it right here, and then even on the right side, I can delete the field. So the point is you don't have to agonize over that decision on the initial form creation. It's really easy to make those adjustments while you're in Form Designer too, so the door doesn't close on you. All right, so actual time, let me get that up there. We've gotten through most of the fields. There's the repeating section for tasks. Resolution will go in a box by itself. Here, let's move requested by to the front. One thing we can do easily is add roles to the form. So if I want that to default to the current user, that's really easy to do. So on new, I just want that to be the current user. We've just got a reference that you can click on like this, and I'll just make a note, current user. And that means every time that form opens up, it'll automatically default in the name of the person who's creating the ticket. All right, resolution date, escalated to, escalation. All right, so we got 3 more of those small fields, and it works out perfect. Escalated to, that's a people field. And then one more. Oh, resolution, that's going to go in a box by itself. Escalation date, that goes up at the top. And I didn't know it was going to suggest those fields for me because, like I say, it changes a little bit each time. I don't need all those containers. Tasks is going to go in its own container. Now on this, I like to give it a white background, so I'm just going to change the style on this particular container. Just pick a white background, hit OK and save. And now tasks kind of stands up. That's where the repeating table is going to be. And we're going to be able to demo this functionality in just 1 second. I don't need those extra containers, so I'll just trash can those. That's really quick. And then we want to use this AI feature that's user facing. So on the right hand side, you'll see that I have this allow use of AI to rewrite content. And then I can even have translation in different languages, which is amazing. So that's it. I'm ready to publish my form. And now we want to check it out. So let's look at it from a user perspective now. So I can just click on the list link at the top. Here's my new ticket request, and I'll just hit new, and we're going to just test this out a little bit. Oh, look at that. It defaulted my name in. That's pretty cool. And oh, I'll just use my name for all these people fields because why not? And this is all the different things that were automatically suggested to me. Oh, that's interesting. It made the category a multi-select for me. I didn't even realize it did that, but I could see where that would make a lot of sense. All right. End date, these aren't required. All the required fields are marked with an asterisk. I'll just put some silly here. Notice how this customer location map is dynamic. So New York, look, it's even auto-suggesting things. New York, New Jersey, why not? All right, notice the map changed immediately real time. That's pretty amazing. You don't ever see that in a regular out-of-the-box SharePoint form. Okay, and then here's the resolution field. And I'm just going to put in some dummy content. I wrote something really silly for this. I'm just going to paste that in. And there's these options. I have the option to turn this on. When I was doing my form design, I turned on the AI feature. This is what we call AI rewrite. And I can choose different styles. So let's have it rewrite this in a informal style. I always think that one's kind of funny. And we'll just do it in English initially, and we'll see what it does. Dude, my computer's acting all wonky. Okay, I probably don't really want that, but you can see that it has the ability to do it in different kinds of things. Or maybe I want to translate it into Spanish for some reason, or I need to do that in a second field. I can choose from these different language options, so I can scroll down to my list and say Spanish, Spain, and it'll do it in Spanish for me. Cuando enciendo mi ordenador. I'm doing some really bad Spanish there. I know some Spanish, and then I can undo it. Maybe I want to revert back to the original content. So now we've got some cool user-facing AI features going on. Okay, here's my sublist for tasks. Take out the trash. I'll assign that to me. And it's not started. Oops, it's kind of acting funny. Something funny's going on with that. Okay, but you can do repeating tasks in there, and then I'll calculate out your tasks for you. All right. So that's my first list that I created, and pretty fast. We created a lot of fields. We did a form layout and threw something together very quickly. Obviously, in real life, I'm going to refine that more. I'm going to be a little bit more careful and make adjustments to it. I'm going to show you another great AI feature. With all of these types of forms, you're always going to want to have some kind of email alert set up, and without extra tools, you have to do that through Power Automate. It's pretty time consuming, not very efficient, not a very user-friendly experience. I'm going to do a new email rule, which I can do right here from SharePoint, and I just want to know when a new ticket comes in. That's going to go to me. I just want it when there's a new ticket, and then I've got some content written for that. Let me just copy that in. All right, let's make that text size a little bit bigger. Here's information about my support ticket, and here we go. Here's the AI rewrite again. Maybe I want to make this look a little bit nicer. I can just click my button, and it can rewrite my content for my email alert as well. If I hit save, I, within a few seconds, really have generated a trigger rule, so I'm going to get an email notification automatically every time a new ticket gets created. Incredibly fast and easy to work with. All right, so that was our first list. Let's do some other, let's do at least one more example here. Let's do a purchase order system. So again, I just go to generate with AI, and I've got a description pre-written here, and say, let's do 30 fields. Purchase order request with detailed description, status, department, and 2 approvers, which also tracks spending of time. The more specificity you have, the better. Specific details are really important with these prompts. All right, let's fire that up and see if it can chew on it. Sometimes the AI will kind of struggle or do something kind of funny, and in that situation, you can just retry and have it reproduce that again. Okay, so here's what I came up with. I've got a list of fields here, and it's the same as before. I don't need the request ID, and I don't need sometimes I don't need certain things that it's going to give me. But generally, it did a pretty good job for me. Again, here, this is a purchase order system, so I'm going to need a repeating table here. I want to have individual line items. So let's go ahead and make those. So we'll say purchase item, and that'll be text. I want that required. And then the next one I'm going to do is description. Got to make sure I'm not repeating. So I'll say we'll say item. We already have item description at the top, so we'll just say line item description. Want that required. Quantity. I'll just do QTY, and that's going to be a number field, of course. Let's make it required. I can default it. We can make a default value 1 here. Okay. Oh, I could do minimum also. So all the normal field configuration settings are available to you. Okay, next is going to be price. That's going to be currency. And I want one more. I want the total. Okay, that'll also be currency. And I got to hit the little plus. Okay, now I need to make that repeating table. So I just check off the items that I want to be in the repeating table. I click create repeating section, and I'm going to call this purchase items and submit. Okay, there you see it's indented. Just like before, I want to have summary information about that. So I want a grand total, okay? So I need to make a field and call it grand total. That's also going to be currency. No, not currency, sorry. It's going to be a summary field. And notice it's smart enough to know, oh, you want a summary from the purchase items repeating table. I need a sum from that, so I need to select the total. I want a sum of those totals, and I don't need any filters in this case. So I just hit save. I need to hit the little plus icon to make sure it's included. When I'm done with all that, I just want to click create, and at this stage, it's actually going to generate that SharePoint list. And we can, have the ability to go to Form Designer. Boom. There's all my list. Okay, purchase order tracker. Very nice. Okay, I'm not going to do layout for this one. I want to auto-generate another one just to focus on that. So let's do one for timesheets. All right, so this will be my last one I'm going to auto-generate. I want to do a timesheets tracking list. This probably is going to need a lot of fields. I'm going to move my slider up. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to create 50 fields. It can create up to 50 fields. So I've given it, in this case, a very detailed description of what I want it to do. And I'll just click submit, and it'll go to work. Again, sometimes it may throw an error at you, and if it does that, it's because the AI engine can be inconsistent. Sometimes it may suggest a field that may have some kind of problem or something like that. And it's not really a big deal. If I try to click the button again, you can see it's fine. I just needed to give it the opportunity to do another time. Another thing is maybe it's not, you don't like its original output. A lot of times that's something you should do in AI prompting. Have it suggest multiple different options for you. So in this case, it gave me output, but I really want more information. So I say, I don't think you did such a good job. I want you to go ahead and try again for me. So you can kind of rinse and repeat. You don't have to necessarily take what it gives you immediately on the first time that you do it. Give me a similar list before. Maybe I need to change my prompt. I could give it more detailed descriptions and that type of thing. So you do have different options there. Okay, so that's most of what I wanted to show you as far as the new AI features available in Ultimate Forms. I'm really excited about it. I'm never going to begin creating a list in SharePoint the same way again. I'm always going to use this tool just because it speeds up my process so much. So how are you going to be able to try these things? If you don't already have our software, the most important thing you could do after our meeting today would be to go ahead and install it for free. So just go to the main InfowiseSolutions.com page and you click try now for free. Click install now and you walk through some steps. You do need to be an admin for your SharePoint environment, so make sure that you contact your SharePoint admin to get some help if you're not in that role. Okay, there's lots of resources at our site. If you want to have a one-on-one conversation with us, we'd love to talk to you. If you scroll down that page a little bit, you'll see there's a request a demo box, and we'll set up a web meeting, and we'll talk to you and answer your questions, talk to you about whatever project that you have coming up, and tell you about our tools and how you can get them. All our pricing information is just on the link by the pricing page. Lots of information under the resources area. We have lots of presentations. If you click on the webinars area, you can see examples of all kinds of different solutions that we have. All of the webinar solutions that we present are in our solution catalog. So once you have your software set up, you can just go to the solution catalog. And if you click on webinars, there are downloadable templates for all of these presentations we do. And there are a lot, hundreds of them, in fact, as it calls out in the bar. It says there's 312. So lots of options available to you. So that's the most important thing you could do. We do offer lots of training information under our tutorials. I especially recommend the Kickstart training. Beyond that, we have formal training available as well. So lots of resources to you as you first get started in this. All right, let me pause my presentation so that I can take a look and see if you guys have questions. So if you do have questions and you haven't yet added it to the Q&A section, this will be the time to do it. I do see that we have some questions, and I'm going to try to address those right now. There's a question about the task list. Is it a secondary associated list? Yes. A second list is created in SharePoint. In the user interface, it's presented as a repeating table in the main form. So it is actually a second list that is generated. Good question, Chris. There's a question by another person related. Is it an associated task list? Yes, that's what it is. It's a special content type. It's part of Ultimate Forms. It auto-generates that list. You can try this out. I recommend that you go through that exercise yourself so you can examine that in detail, and that will clear it right up for you. There's a question about on-premise SharePoint. All of our tools are set up to run both for SharePoint Online and on-premise. Sometimes there can be some differences. But yes, it should work for that. There's a question about licensing. Our licenses are based on the number of users who use your forms. You can learn more about that by setting up a call with us. You can examine our pricing page that explains some of that in terms of how that works. As far as the Microsoft licenses, that's not of any significance. As long as you just have regular SharePoint user licenses, you're good to go there. All right, what other questions do people have? Let's see, we've got one from Eric. Do we have further features on your roadmap for the AI feature? Sorry, Eric, I'm going to laugh a little bit. This is the tip of the iceberg. In fact, I didn't even show all the features that we have available. There's two features that I didn't show in my demonstration. One is an AI rewrite function where you can call that function to have it automatically in actions do a rewrite of content. We also have capabilities added to advanced print templates that are AI related. So this is just the beginning for us. There is plans to add many AI helper related features to this toolkit in the coming months. Can you create library forms? Yes, you can. Let me see if I can demonstrate that real quick. When you do the generate with AI, there's a option after you create the content. Let me do this one more time, where you can select whether it's for a list or a library. It barked at me and gave me an error message. I'm going to try to demonstrate that real quick. Great questions. Especially when you give a lot of work, it does need a little time to process. My experience is usually between 20 and 30 seconds, but it just depends on the amount of instructions, the quantity of fields, and everything that you're generating. Okay, so up next to the list title, there's a configuration option, and you can select document library if you're doing a library with additional fields. So that definitely is covered. Smart validation using AI. That's a good suggestion, Patrick. We don't have AI built directly into our validation features, but in Form Designer there is dynamic form validation rules. Um, that can be a part of it. There is smart validation in the sense you notice that the AI suggested fields, it automatically detects and suggests which fields should be required. So in that sense, yes, it is included. Does it include workflows to complete a complete system with validations? I'm laughing because um, AI is there to help you. It's going to assist and streamline your process. Um, yes, you can do reports. So we're adding features, but it's always going to be there to assist you in your process. It's not going to build your entire solution for you on its own. A good way to think about AI is as like a really helpful intern. Generally it's doing tasks, but you have to keep giving instructions and monitor it and that type of thing. There's a question about accessing list creation without using AI. It's interesting you asked about that. I was speaking with our main developer and creator of Ultimate Forms, and I had made that suggestion as well. For now, what I would recommend is basically come through the Generate with AI builder and just, you can just remove those fields and, go ahead and add your own. So basically, yes, you can. We may update our interface to have a toggle button for people who just want to auto-generate lists from scratch. But that's a good question. I was also thinking along those lines. Okay, so let me go ahead and move on. At this point, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next part of our presentation, which is about SharePoint dashboards. You guys can continue to add questions in chat. I'm going to circle back to it a little bit later. So for those of you who want to stick around and learn about another really awesome tool that you can use in SharePoint, I'm going to show you a quick demonstration on that and tell you how you can also try that out for free. So here's SharePointDashboards.com. This is a companion tool that you can use in addition to Ultimate Forms if you're interested. And this is really all about visualization of data and creating dynamic, interesting looking dashboards with KPI indicators and charting and things of that nature. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my site. There are many templates here. As of our presentation today, there's 206 templates. And the first thing you can do is kind of browse through the listing under our templates gallery. And I do want to let you know you can sign up for a free account to get access to 21 free templates. All you need to do is provide your email and your name, and you get your free login, and you can try this out and see exactly how it works. And then if you're interested, you can get a subscription, which is a monthly subscription if you want to access all of the templates. That's the pro license. I'll show you a few examples. We'll start with the simple one, which is free. I'm going to go to the checkbox and help you guys understand a little bit about how this works. The first thing you do is see a preview screen, which gives you a quick demonstration of what that particular template does, and then you can interact with it to see what it is. This one's probably one of the simplest ones there is. It's just an input checkbox. What's cool about this is you can control the look and feel of these options. You can control the size of it and everything about these just by clicking on these configuration options. So whatever creative kind of a thing you want to do, you can just update your options, and all you do is copy this template over to SharePoint. That's the checkbox one. That's free. And I'm going to show you a couple other examples which are a little more sophisticated. So a real popular one is Gantt charts. A lot of people wonder, how can I do Gantt charts in SharePoint? This is a template that will allow you to do a dynamic Gantt chart, which you can configure the look and feel to look however you want. So I can browse through some theme selections, which are presets, and you can see there's a lot of versatility in how I can make my Gantt chart work. In order to use this particular template, it's really easy. All you need is a SharePoint list with a title field and a start and end dates, and that's it. That's all the data you need in order to do this. You just copy and paste these templates directly to SharePoint. You don't have to install an app or any program in order to use SharePoint Dashboards template. So really easy to do. And I'll show you one more example. which is our discussion board template. Maybe you'd like to do a discussion board in SharePoint. It doesn't provide a facility to do that. So this template gives you the ability to have an interactive message board where somebody can post on a topic and then all your users can come in and make comments and add to it on this discussion board. And you, as with all the templates, you can control how this looks. You can kind of come up, look at these different themes, controlling the background colors, the borders, the fonts, all of those kind of things. So these are just 3 examples of many, 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 many templates available that are all aimed at the idea of making for visual indications of your data and making very compelling looking SharePoint dashboards. If that interests you, I hope you'll try it out. Every template has an instructional video included with it, every single one of them. And in order to get started, all you got to do is just click on Start Free, and you can sign up. You'll get your free login, and you can use 21 of those templates for free with no limits. So that's everything I wanted to tell you about SharePoint dashboards. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and stop our presentation recording, but I'm going to keep the meeting going.